Hi everybody, this is Mr. Farmer. Welcome to AP Economics. Today we're talking about elasticities. Supply, cross, income, all the fun ones. So here we go. So we are talking about the price elasticity of supply. Elasticity of supply, that's going to be more of the determinant versus the price elasticity is going to be more of the mathematical. The last two are cross and income elasticity. So elasticity of supply is the price elasticity of supply is the percentage change in quantity supply divided by the percentage change in price. So again, if you've seen the price elasticity of demand, you've seen this equation before. We use the exact same equation, elasticity coefficient, and the rules, in fact, are identical. Again, the main thing is that it also would be positive versus the demand is going to be negative. So what does this do? It tells us exactly how responsive the producers are to a price change. Now, although this sounds like a big deal, it's actually not a huge conversation for AP Econ because usually we talk about short run and long run later in the class, and we deal with that more graphically. So the demand is definitely a bigger question. Not going to spend time on the equation. If you need the equation, just go back to the previous one because it's the exact same one. So after that, we're going to talk about the determinant of elasticity or elasticity of supply. Unlike the demand where there's about 4 or 5 determinants, for supply there's one, time. How long does the supplier have in order to change according to the price? If there is no time whatsoever, you're told the day of there's a price change, you have zero chance to try and change whatever you have on the shelves. So it's called the market, or on this table, the momentary time period. That's going to be inelastic. Next in the middle will be the short run, and we're going to talk a lot about short versus long run by definition throughout the class. I'm not going to do that here. Short run is going to be more elastic. I can't say it's unit elastic like it's drawn there, but it's definitely more elastic, meaning the producers can change their minds to an extent about how much they produce. It's not absolute, but they can change that. Again, we'll see that throughout the course. The last is the long run, which is going to be the most elastic. They're going to be the most responsive to the price change, and we'll see that again as we go along. So the market time period, the immediate time period, is inelastic. There's no time to adjust. The short run, a period too short to change the plant capacity. It has fixed resources is going to be the main thing we're talking about. You have time to change the personnel and the number of hours worked, but you can't change like the overall machine. That's going to be the fixed resources, or like the machines. But long to change how much current plant is being used. So more elastic. They can do overtime. They can do half shifts, those kinds of things, but they can't completely change things. And last is that long run, which a period in which plant capacity, meaning the fixed resources, are now variable. And so we call it variable plant capacity. So that can be changed to the largest extent. Now, since we don't have a long discussion on that yet, I kind of came up with some examples. So I'm going to take the example of like a farmer's market. So you are a watermelon seller and you're told the price is going to go from $5 per watermelon down to $2 per watermelon. What do you do? Well, it depends. If you're told like the day of the farmer's market, you're unloading your truck or whatever van, whatever you have, and you're told, hey, here it is, it's $2 today because all your sellers are selling at $2. If you charge $5, nobody's going to buy from you. Well, you have no choice. You can't put the watermelon back onto the vines. Whatever you have is what you have. You'd rather sell it for something than let it rot, so you're selling it. So what's it mean? You're perfectly inelastic. Regardless of price change, you have no control over how much you want to sell, so you're going to sell it. The second is you're told kind of a week before the farmer's market. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to wait. Yeah, some of the watermelons are going to be ripe, and so you're going to have to pick those ones, but some you might let stay on the vine a little bit longer because maybe the week after is going to be a higher price. So you can't change absolute numbers, but you can change it to a little bit. And so you're going to wait a little bit. So you have some control over how much you're going to produce. You are a little reactive to it, but again, not absolute. The last is you're told before the planting season that the prices are going to be set at $2 instead of typical $5. What are you going to do? You're going to plant a different crop entirely. Okay, you have the absolute control. You're highly reactive to that price change. You don't like it, so you're not going to produce it. You're going to choose the exact amount you can produce at that price level. Hence, it is the most elastic. You have the most control over that. For the other elasticities, the cross elasticity, the equation is the exact same. But here we have the percent change of quantity demanded of one product, which is called product X, compared to the price change of the alternative product, product Y. So again, we still have the independent variable on the y-axis and dependent on the x-axis, but now it's of two different goods. Unlike demand, do not take the absolute number on this, the absolute value. The positive or the negative are what tells us what we would like to hear. So let's come up with a quick example. So I have product Y over here on the left-hand side, product X over here on the right, and let's say the relationship is they're substitute goods. Okay, so think of two goods. Pepsi and Coke is probably what you're all thinking of, so think Pepsi and Coke if you want. So the price of product Y increases. So if your product, thinking of product Y versus X, what will happen to product X? Well, it would be an increase in demand. So there we go, we put the demand curve up there. So down here I have the change of price of good Y, that increased, and so if you plugged into the equation percent change, that'll be a positive number. And then down below the change of quantity for good X, again that was a positive, we were further to the right, we were at this quantity over here, now we're further to the right, so it's an increase in quantity, so it's another positive number. So the equation again is percent change in quantity of X, that was positive, over percent change in price of Y, which again was positive. So what can we conclude? A positive divided by a positive, again I'm not even using actual numbers, is going to be a positive outcome. And these two goods were substitute goods. What's this mean? For cross elasticity, if you get a positive outcome, that means the two goods are substitutes. That's it. So again, goods are substitutes if you have an elastic, or if you're a positive elasticity. So you have like generic versus name brand, definitely substitute goods there. For oatmeal, I guess is what I picked for this one. Well, what if you get a negative? Then the two goods are complementary goods. This would be popcorn and popcorn butter. If the price of the popcorn decreased, well, you're probably going to buy more popcorn, and thus you're going to buy more popcorn butter along with it. And so you typically have that negative outcome. As the price goes down, there's an increase in demand for the complement good. Now, these are going to be the two outcomes for us. Technically, if you have a near zero outcome, the two goods are independent. But typically, you kind of go, well, how does oatmeal and popcorn butter have anything to do with each other? They don't. They don't. So yes, technically if it's a near zero number, they're independent of each other, they're unrelated. That will never be your outcome. I've never gone to concrete what is near zero in our level of economics, so don't worry about that. They're going to be substitute or complementary goods. Now, one would use this. Pepsi and Coke. I don't need an equation to tell me these two are substitute goods. Again, that's probably what most of you thought of when you thought substitute goods. It's a great example. So I don't need the elasticity, the cross elasticity to figure this out. How about a smartwatch versus something like a Fitbit watch? Are the two substitutes? Are they complementary? Well, probably not complementary. Are they independent of each other? And here again is where economics gets a little challenging. For some people, they're completely independent. You're more of a Fitbit wearer because you don't want to be connected. Great, so you're not in that market. Whereas the Apple Watch, it comes with all the other gizmos as well. Or you only wear one watch, I imagine, so maybe they are competitors. We'll have the price points. Okay, Apple Watch is definitely more than a Fitbit watch, and so the prices might be different. And so for that reason, maybe they're not competitors. Or maybe they're not strong competitors. So at that point, I might want to know, when Apple Watch went on sale, how did that impact the Fitbit prices or the Fitbit consumers? Did they buy the same amount? Not as much? Did they even care? If I was Fitbit and I learned that information, I would now know, should I try and combat Apple Watch with my commercials? If I shouldn't, then that's great. I just saved a whole bunch of money on marketing to focus on what I do. Or maybe I found out that they are heavy competitors based on this cross elasticity. So definitely times to be used for these, but for an obvious relationship in reality, I don't need to know that. Okay, last one is the income elasticity. Again, we have the dependent variable, the percent change in the quantity on the top, the numerator. But now it's not a price on the y-axis or on the bottom part. It is the percent change in income. So it's still the monetary value, but it's the income of a household. So we'd still plug in for the elasticity coefficient. And just like the cross elasticity, if you get a positive or a negative, that is what tells us what's going on. So just here's how it works out. If goods are a normal good, meaning as one's income increases, you buy more stuff, it's called normal good, that means you have a positive income elasticity. Goods are an inferior good if you get a negative outcome. Again, inferior goods are as your income increases, the demand for good decreases. Of all the ones, this one probably pops up the least amount. So still want to know it, definitely still going to practice it, but we're not going to go too much into it. Plug into the equation, you get a positive or negative. If you're not sure, just do what we do with the cross elasticity. Give yourself a quick example and see what you come up with. Now, as we keep going, we're going to go through a couple different FRQs. A good one to kind of start with is the 2005 Form B, number 3. We actually already did part A in a previous practice where we talked about supply and demand in wheat and bread and everything else. Well, in part B, if the demand for bread is price elastic, how will total revenue for the bread producers change as a result of the government subsidy? So again, elasticity is sometimes kind of something that's tacked onto FRQs, or it's kind of the background information. It's usually not the very forefront of it. It's kind of a way of elongating the conversation. With that said, though, for marketing, it's a huge conversation. So, 1 point is earned for part A. 1 point is earned for correctly with supply and demand graph for all three markets. 1 point is earned for showing a rubber shift supply curve. 1 point is earned for showing a rubber shift for the demand curve for butter. Great. 1 point is earned for concluding the total revenues will increase if the demand for bread of price is elastic. How will total revenue for the bread producers change? Well, since the bread decreased in price and it's elastic, total revenue increase. Why? Because of the total revenue test. Okay, so again, not exactly part of the cross or the income of the substitutes. So the demand elasticity is definitely kind of the main one that we do talk about. All right, that was really quick. Enjoy that image. And until next time, bye.